the concept of no fap and pornography. I heard you talking with my buddy Brandon about this, and it was the concept of like the strict no fap thing might not be the play. Like, trust me, I understand if you're deployed for 15 months in the Middle East, this idea that you're going to just no fap the whole time, I think is a little ridiculous. But like, can you go into that? Like, do you think it's gone too far with that whole commentary?
Yeah, so the guys who are like crazy about no fap and treat it like a religion, almost always it's because they had a serious addiction. And in order for them to stop, they had to treat it as a religion. You know, they had to go crazy with it. And for that reason, that's probably why they felt these superpowers of more confidence and being able to do a backflip, you know, all this stuff that they say.
They can float.
They can float, they can fly, they can read minds.
They can predict the stock market now because they don't jerk off anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they went from doing it 3 to 5 times a day to nothing. Of course, you're going to feel better. You know, you're not releasing energy. It's still like energy leaving your body. Like even me personally, I don't fap or have sex or nothing before I go to the gym. Never. Yeah. Always ruins my workout, man. And I'm not sure if you heard about like boxers. A lot of boxers don't do it like before they have fights. You know, so I believe there's a correlation between like strength and maybe like your sexual confidence and other aspects. However, if you can balance it and if you only engage in things like that to where you desperately need to where it's like a huge distraction, then personally, I have not seen it be a hindrance in anybody, especially successful men's life.
Yeah.
Only if it's a really bad addiction.
Yeah.
In that case, try no fap.
I believe I was reading some studies. There's some really interesting studies they did at UNLV where they looked at testosterone serum in men when they were gambling and when they were driving sports cars, and their testosterone levels would actually increase. So a lot of people are like, I have testosterone, therefore I act a certain way. But no, you can do certain things that will boost your levels of testosterone. Having sex on a regular basis actually does boost your testosterone over average. But like you said before, there's certain times where boxers will go, I believe, like 2 or 3 weeks where they won't have sex or do anything, and that will also boost your testosterone a lot, because you think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. If you're a guy and you haven't had sex in a long time, your testosterone is going to go up so that you can do more assertive things, whether that be approach women or whether that be catch game for the tribe, whatever that thing is, show some level of competency and garner some access to scarce resources. In order to do so, that's why your body would reward you by not doing that for a while. And so you're like, when guys jerk off 3 times a day, they're losing that ability to do so. They're losing some of that focus. And it's incredible, man. I'm 46 now, and a few years ago, about 40 years ago, I started on TRT, and the difference between like my level of focus beforehand and now, it's so crazy. Guys will get on TRT and then all of a sudden they give up Adderall. They don't need it anymore. They don't need a lot of the things that they needed before, because testosterone really does help a lot with a lot of those things as far as paying attention or being aggressive or being assertive or being a leader and stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting.
And even if there's some research within the first 7 days or first week of non-ejaculation, like your testosterone slowly rises.
Yes.
I think you're correlating to that point too.
Yeah.
But definitely men should get their testosterone levels checked. Make sure you're at good, healthy level ranges. Go to a clinic. There's so many options available nowadays in the forms of different supplements, peptides, TRT, if you're old enough, that could be used to enhance that to where you feel like your most masculine and driven self. So
you feel like you're 19 again. And like it's just something that slowly drains from you. Like when you turn 40, all of a sudden it's like, it's not that you're still wise and you still think women are hot, but I'll tell you the biggest difference for me is like when I was 38, I remember I was dating this girl, she was really attractive, and I just wasn't that interested in having sex with her every night, maybe every other night or something like that. But I wasn't super, and she tells people this, and I don't disagree with you. That's how I was. And then when I got it on TRT, it was like a girl who was who lived 45 minutes away. I was like, yep, here I go, 4 o'clock in the morning, don't give a shit. It's like, it just changes things. Also, when you lift weights, lifting weights feels better. Like actual struggling against a weight makes you feel better. I don't know how to explain it, but if you're and also, like I was telling Rollo this, because Rollo's 51 or 52. His birthday's coming up here next month. No, I'm sorry. Rollo's turning 55 and he's turning 56. That's right. And he was talking about when he started taking TRT, like the colors got brighter, right? He started seeing, because he just didn't recognize that these things were gone. You've seen he's like put on like 20 pounds of muscle. So yeah,
Crazy.
that's a really interesting thing. The other concept is, and I really like this idea, was if you're doing well with women and you're showing these high status, signs, being a douchebag on top of it is not helpful. It's not a good idea. And you talked about a level of humility. You'll go on a date with a girl, and she will assume because you're a good-looking guy that you're going to be arrogant and only talk about yourself. But you break rapport. You subvert expectations by actually being very humble and a good listener.
Yeah, that's pretty much my game plan, man. Go in, ask questions, listen, give stories, tell my experiences, but mostly keep the conversation focused about her. If I'm getting the, oh, I talked so much about myself, like, what about you? Like, tell me about yourself. Like, that's how I know that, it's a good sign. And one thing I constantly hear too is that, you just make me feel really comfortable.
Yeah.
You're easy to talk to,
Yeah.
is what they say. And so if they're saying that, that's definitely a good sign. That's important of social skills, man.
Yeah.
Even if you're a handsome guy, if you don't have the ability to make women feel comfortable through communication, like you're not going to go that far unless she's just like really attracted to you.
Yeah.
Even then it's going to be short lived. But if you can have that ability to just build that rapport, make women feel comfortable when they're with you and have that humility, like you said,
Yeah.
you can really break some barriers down.
Yeah, you talked about that. Like I'm sure you've talked to some attractive women, and they'll talk about a guy who's really a good looking, and then he opened his mouth, and then she wasn't attracted to him anymore because he kept talking about himself. I think I think because when we talked about male overperception bias, female underperception bias, I think because men, we're so attracted to women because of their physical attractiveness, we believe women feel the same way about us. And like a lot of times, if a girl's really attractive and she says crazy stuff, we'll probably still sleep with her. But like women often don't do the same thing. And we as men don't grasp that. Because for us as men, there's just like kind of one stat we look for. There's one attribute, right? Like if you ever play Madden, like speed at 99, right? That's just one physical attractiveness. But for women, it can be charisma, it can be intelligence, it can be height, it can be looks, it can be money, it can be all these different things that'll happen, and men can screw it up. And there's one study I saw it was done. It was in the book Dataclysm, where they talked about they were doing transcriptions of speed dating in the UK, and whenever a woman said me or I 7 times during the date, there was a high correlation of them going on another date.
Wow. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. In classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People,
Yeah,
people like talking about themselves.
exactly.
Just the way it is. You can even correlate that to like networking and meeting other men or just creating conversation in general. Ask questions, let the other person talk, give your take, give your experiences. But at the end of the day, people love to talk about themselves. So I would agree with that. Absolutely.